Welcome. Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah? Baruch Hashem.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are on part 2 of the Mishnah. We're in the second perek. It's probably going to take us 3 times to do this Mishnah, but we're in the second perek, Mishnah Aleph. We started yesterday with Rebbe Omer, and we spoke about tuning into one's inner world. And now we're moving on to the next section of the Mishnah, the middle 2 sections. There are 4 sections altogether. Today we're going to do part 2 and 3. So the continues Rebbe and teaches us, "V'hevei zahir b'mitzvah kala kavachamora." You should be careful with a light mitzvah, like with a severe mitzvah or a strict mitzvah. She'einat hayodea matan sacharan shel mitzvot, because you have no idea what the reward of the mitzvot are. That's part 2, and now part 3. V'hevei mechashev hefsed mitzvah keneged schara, and you should calculate the loss of a mitzvah parallel the reward of it. Uschar aveira keneged hefseda, and you should also parallel the reward that you get from an aveira parallel to its loss. So we'll start with a couple of questions, and then we're going to use first Rabbeinu Yonah and then afterwards the Maharal today as our guides to understand this Mishnah. So starting off, so the implication of this mitzvah is, this Mishnah is, that there are mitzvahs which are more severe, and there are mitzvahs which are less, which is an interesting notion, meaning if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives commandments, then they all emanate from Him. If all the commandments emanate from Him, surely they're all equal in the sense that they emanate from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But by the fact that it says, mitzvah kala, mitzvah chamura, implies that there are mitzvahs which are lighter, and there are mitzvahs which are more severe. Why is that the case? How is that possible? And if you'll tell me that we see that concept by Averas, that by Averas we can tell by the punishment. There are some mitzvahs which the punishment is makos, and some mitzvahs which are misa, and some which are kares. So by the punishment, then that is true by punishment, but that doesn't exist by mitzvahs. So if that is a concept by Lotas, say, why isn't it a concept by us, say that you see different levels? Then point number 2 is, she'einat hayodea matan scharan shel mitzvahs. What's it saying? Is it saying that we're looking for reward? Meaning, you should be careful with light mitzvahs, with like heavy mitzvahs, because I know you want reward. I know that's your purpose here. So I'm warning you, since your purpose is to get reward, you don't even know where there's more reward to be found. But didn't we learn early on in the first paragraph that you shouldn't be serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu for reward anyway? So why is our motive that we're being given, don't worry about the different levels of mitzvahs, be careful not to take note of that, because anyway, you don't know what the reward is for them. Why is the reward our given factor? And just a technical note of, what is the word matan sacharan? You could leave out the word matan. The matan sounds like it's an extra word there, which is unnecessary. She'einat hayodea matan sacharan. Why not just say she'einat hayodea sacharan shel mitzvahs? Those are the questions on the first section of today. And just the question on the second section is, to have him 2 questions. Now, a moment ago we said that we can't calculate the mitzvahs. We just finished that. We said, you do not know the reward of the mitzvahs, and then immediately afterwards, now you should be calculating the mitzvahs. How can you calculate the mitzvahs? We don't even know their reward. We don't know their power. We have no way of judging them. Lotas says we have a way of judging them. That's fine. You can say, Makos is less severe than Misa, but us says we have no way of judging them. So how am I supposed to go around judging what's the value of this mitzvah and the value of that mitzvah? And also just a grammatical question, it switches the order. Have a machashev hefsed mitzvah keneged schara. Now the second part should really be a parallel and should be the hefsed avera keneged schara. That would be a direct parallel. But by the fact that it switches it around is strange. It says hefsed sachar and then sachar hefsed. So why does it switch around? So we have a wealth of questions on this middle section of the Mishnah. We're going to start with Rabbeinu Yonah, and he's going to give us one important level of understanding, which is going to answer initially our questions. But then we're going to go today to the Maharal, and the Maharal, and also the Ruach Chaim gives the same interpretation, but the Maharal is much more length about it, and to get a much deeper understanding of this flow. So, the Rabbeinu Yonah, he brings a Medrash Chazal in order to answer this question. It's based on Tanchuma Parshas Ekev and Devarim Rabbah. Mashal lema hadavar domeh. What can we compare this matter to? Lemelech shemasar pardes la'avadav lintoa be'ilanot. We've had something similar to this earlier on, if you remember. A king gave over his field in order for his servant to plant a orchard. ואילו היה מודיע להם מתן שכרן, היו כולם טורחים באותו ששכרן מרבה. Now there's this one tree which is a special tree to the king, and that tree, whoever plants that tree, the king is going to give extra special reward. But if he says which tree it is, then everyone's going to be fighting over the one tree, and they're going to be ignoring all the other important trees that he needs as well. So he doesn't tell them which is the bonus tree, which is the special tree. They have no idea. A little bit like when you were younger, maybe you used to collect cards, and when you wanted the full collection of cards, then you would buy another pack and buy another pack and buy another pack, because you never know where that golden card, the one you are missing to complete your set, would be. So you just keep buying more and more and more and more. So in a mashal like that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't tell us which mitzvah is the powerful mitzvah, the strong mitzvah, the valuable mitzvah, and that way we'll keep doing more and more and more and more mitzvahs. So that's the mashal that Chazal give us. Now we, as people, as Jews, we don't know which is better and which is worse. And since we don't know which are the higher level mitzvahs and lower level mitzvahs, we're not going to give priority or precedence. That's what Chazal say. But like we've noted before, that when you read a Medrash Chazal, there's often more depth than initially meets the eye. Because that Medrash Chazal essentially is saying is there are higher levels and there are lower levels, which is the point number one that we mentioned. Right? That was the point number one. It fits in. We mentioned point number one. Mitzvah kala ka mitzvah chamura. Yes, there are higher level mitzvahs and there are lower level mitzvahs. More severe ones, less severe ones. Ones that are more precious to Hashem, ones that are less precious to Hashem. That is a real concept based on what Chazal is saying. And what's the second part of we don't know their reward? It's Hashem wants to keep it a secret. Because if we would know the reward, then we would invest in the important ones. And now we don't know the reward, then we'll stay away from, or we'll do them all equally. It's challenging, that idea, because if that's not the way that Hashem works, that he keeps things as a secret, so we're not going to know. Let me just take that a little deeper. Between me and you, I don't think this is going to work. I think this is what's going to happen. If you tell the people there are some mitzvahs that are more severe and some that are less severe, then between me and you, do you think now everyone's going to do all the mitzvahs on the highest level? Or are they going to maybe find an average or maybe take a lowest level? But I don't know if it will give that encouragement that we're looking for here. We're looking for an encouragement that everyone will take all the mitzvahs most severe, with most sincerity, and invest in them fully. So if you would say every mitzvah has the potential to be the best one, do it, people get worn out. If you say there's only one special one, do this one well, they'll say, okay, I'll put all my kochos into the best one, and they'll do a good job. But here, I'm just not sure it's going to have that desired effect. So Rabbeinu Yonah continues, and he says, well, that's what Rebbe was teaching in the next phrase. Says Rabbeinu Yonah explaining Rebbe. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Zichron Livracha, that's referring to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Hiflig b'darav, v'natam chazak ledavar me'od. Rebbe explained this idea much deeper than we initially thought. What is the second phrase in the Mishnah? She'ein ata yodea matan scharan shel mitzvot, kama hu gadol, she'afilu hi mitzvah kala, schara gavoa ad lamala. V'hevei zahir shelo tafsid revach gadol kamo. So I want to give great clarity what Rabbeinu Yonah is saying by comparing it to what we initially thought and what we're now understanding. The initial way that we learned this Mishnah was the following. You should be very careful with light mitzvahs and severe mitzvahs because you don't know which is which. And you don't know which is which, so you may as well invest in them all the same. That's the initial understanding, which we're bothered by, challenged by. Like, that's it, that's going to encourage me to do everything on the highest level. But the way Rabbeinu Yonah is explaining it is totally different. He's saying, how do you know the value of anything? However do you know the value of anything? When you go into a shop and you want to know which is more valuable, how do you tell? You tell by comparing. You say, well, I need to buy a new phone. So let me look at the range. The range, there's the cheap ones, which are on the lower end of the range. There's the expensive ones on the high end of the range. And I want to go for the middle, or I want to go for the best, or I want to go for the cheap. But the only way you know what's cheap and what's not cheap is by having a range. And when you can compare and contrast, then you know what's valuable. That's how people tell what's good and what's not good, by the comparing. People use that in shops as a trick. They'll always make something very, very expensive, totally overpriced, in order that when you come in, you'll say, ooh, that's above my price range. I'll go for something a little bit lower than that. And you pay way above the price of the next thing down, which to you now looks much cheaper because compared to the way above price thing, it seems quite a normal price. And you lose sense of what's going on. It's a great line of Rav Davidson. There was once a big signpost on a store, and it said, half price, everything in the store, half price. And Rav Davidson was walking one of his Talmidim, and he says, you know, if you just walk away, you'll save yourself the other 50%. I wasn't planning on buying anything. So what if it's 50% off? I wasn't going to pay any money. I'll just walk away and save myself the other 50%. Brilliant. So that it's a trick that the mind plays. You do things by comparing. Now, look at this. This is what Rabbi Yonah is explaining. How do you judge the value of a mitzvah? If you were to know the value of mitzvahs, then what you would say is, you would say, well, this mitzvah is worth this much, and this mitzvah is worth less. So now, once I'm comparing mitzvahs, then that one I'll give a 10, and that one I'll give a 5. So this one must be more important. Rabbi Yonah is saying, you're totally on the wrong plane. You're off the charts. You're in the wrong ballpark. Because look what you're comparing to what? You're not comparing things on a logical level. Don't compare a lower level mitzvah to a higher level mitzvah. Let's read the words of Rabbi Yonah again. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you don't know, so invest them all equally. Rather, it means you have no way of comparing the mitzvahs at all, because it's not in your world to make a comparison. We're talking about something which is on a totally different level. Afilu mitzvah kala, because even mitzvahs which to us would look like they're light, to us they would look like they're not so powerful or severe or significant or make a difference. Sachara gavoa ad lamala. The reward is infinite, and therefore you have to be careful not to lose this great reward. And the example that he gives is from the Gemara in Chulin, which talks about the mitzvah of shiluach hakein, sending away a bird. Now, in our eyes, sending away a bird is not a major mitzvah. Then I would say Shabbos is a central principle of our faith. Learning Torah is keneged kulam. There are certain emunah, there are certain mitzvahs which are clear to us. They have tremendous significance. Sending away a mother bird, we haven't yet figured out why that's so important. If you were teaching a ger, and you were going through all the halachas in the Torah, and you start teaching about Shabbos, and he's like, wow. And you teach about brachos, and he's like, yes. And you teach him about hilchos nida, he's like, oh, it makes so much sense. And then you say, and sending away a mother bird. What? Where did that come from? What? Where did that come in the list of important things that God would command you to do? And you're like, God has things which are chukim. We don't understand everything. It would come in an area which to us wouldn't be so significant. We wouldn't have it. So you would say, well, there's a Ramban who explains it about rachamim but even yourself, you wouldn't be sure that you would design the mitzvah that way. Says him, what does it say about the mitzvah shiluach hakein, which in our eyes seems kal? Subjectively, it seems kal because we're comparing it to big things. L'ma'an yitavlach la'olam shekulo tov v'herachti amim la'olam shekulo aroch. It's talking about two different stages of the next world. Yemos HaMashiach and Olam Haba. And the reward for Shiluach HaKein is something which is beyond all limits. And the Gemara brings this example to teach you the mitzvah that you would think is the least significant or powerful. That's the mitzvah which gives us beyond our ability to comprehend reward. Now this Rabbi Yonah is going to be the stepping stone to the Mahara. So let's just summarize what we've said until now. Point number one, we said that the Medrash Chazal, which tells us that you should do the mitzvahs because you don't know the difference, on a superficial level, which I think would be a misunderstanding, would be Hashem didn't tell you you'll take them all severe. I don't know as an educational tool if that's going to work. The way that the Rabbi Yonah understands it, though, that Medrash Chazal, he understands it much deeper. He understands the reason why Hashem didn't tell you the reward is because there's no way of you being able to fathom the reward. It's something which is way beyond our comprehension, way beyond our understanding. And the example that he gives is that which to you looks least important and significant, like Shiluach HaKein, is the reward in Chazal, the one example they give of what you get reward from, just to teach, one of two, just to teach you like how broad and how like beyond your limits you should be thinking. Oh, now that's going to be entering to the Maharal, because although he does explain that, he doesn't explain why it's that way or how it works. But the Maharal takes us to a totally different level in understanding. Says the Maharal. And actually this Maharal, he speaks about it at length. When you get down to it, the crux of what he says, 2 sentences. You can understand it in 2 sentences in the Maharal. There are 2 aspects of reward that a person gets when he does a mitzvah. And this principle is going to explain pretty much all of our questions that we asked. There's a level of reward which is lefum tzara agra. And at this point we can inject that as a question. Surely Chazal tell us lefum tzara agra. If you put in more effort, you get more reward. So we do know about the reward of mitzvahs. Here, I'll give you an example. If kibbud av v'eim for you is exceptionally hard, you're in a difficult situation and kibbud av v'eim is exceptionally hard for you, then you will get more reward for that mitzvah. And if a mitzvah like shiluach hakem, where you just push away the mother bird, is for you exceptionally easy, it's not a big deal for you to do, you just send it away, then for that you'll get less reward. We know that from Pirkei Avos, lefum tzara agra. According to how difficult something is, that's the degree of reward you get. So we do have a clearly laid down in Pirkei Avos rule that how much reward you get for mitzvahs aseh according to how difficult it is for you. There's one level of reward, which is a level of reward on the level of effort that you put in. If it's a harder mitzvah for you, you'll get more reward. If it's a lower mitzvah for you, you'll get less reward. But there's another level of reward, which I want to explain just by preempting with a Rambam. I'm sure you're all familiar with this Rambam. It's a basic Rambam in Hilchos Chinuch. And it's important to understand it because people, unfortunately, are negatively affected by a misunderstanding of this Rambam. The Rambam's talking about how to inspire children to learn. And he speaks about using reward. He speaks about giving candy, giving sweets to kids when they're younger. And you have to keep up with them. And as they get a bit more advanced, then you have to give them clothing. And as they get more advanced, you have to bribe them with honor by calling them a Rebbe, something like that. And then they develop and develop and develop so that at each stage, whatever's going to inspire them or ignite them or it's going to give them that push, they're going to use that, they're going to go up and up. And the Rambam presents that as the ideal mode for chinuch. Now, what happens when you've got to the final stage? What do you do then? Then it depends. You may get stuck in that mode where you still believe that there must be some external reward that you're getting for what you're doing. Now look what's happening. Let's say I'm the Rebbe and I have a Talmud in front of me and I say to him, learn Torah and I'll give you a sweet. So when he's learning Torah, he's not connecting to Torah. He's not connecting to the Rebbe. He's connecting to the sweet. That's what he's doing it for. But at some point, the sweet doesn't do it for him anymore. So he says, well, I don't care about the Torah and I don't care about the Rebbe and the sweet doesn't interest me anymore. So there's no reason I should learn. So you say, no, here's the Sefer Torah 1 second. I'll give you clothing. Or make it, that's the wrong. I'll give you an outing to a theme park. An outing to a theme park? Fantastic, I'm in. Okay, Torah's in, Rebbe's in, but I don't really care about the Torah. I don't really care about the Rebbe. But a theme park, an outing, fantastic. Flag, 6 flags. Oh, here we go. 6 Alton Towers. Fantastic. We're going, we're there. Now, at some point, theme parks wear off. People who mature, it wears off. So then the Torah goes and the Rebbe goes, and there's no reason to learn anymore. So then he says, 1 second, if I learn Torah, people are going to respect me, and they're going to look up to me. I'm going to be honorable, and that's important to me, and that may remain for a person's whole life. So therefore, I don't care about the Rebbe. I don't really care about the Torah, but I care about honor. So honor is going to keep me going. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So short term, it's a good thing. It's going to encourage a person to keep involved in the Torah learning. And there's a hope that at some point, he will develop it so much that he will begin to see Torah as a value in and of itself. And then even if there's no candy, and even if there's no theme parks, and even if there's no honor, he'll have already recognized the inherent value in Torah. But what's missing? The Rebbe. What happened to the Rebbe? Did you connect to the Rebbe? Not necessarily. Meaning there's 3 levels here. Motivation number 1, totally external, the candy. Motivation number 2, the Torah itself. That's much better, much greater, much greater. But 1 second, where's the Torah from? The Rebbe. Are you connecting back to the Rebbe or not? Not necessarily. Now, here comes the Maharal and says, there's two levels of reward when you learn Torah. There's the external one and there's the internal one. The reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah was not that we will become Talmidei Chachamim and that is the end goal. The reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah is that through the Torah, we will be able to connect to Him. We will be able to connect to the Rebbe. That's the end goal. It's emanating from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's wisdom. And our goal is to get to a closeness to Hashem. So if you're learning Torah for some external, or fulfilling a mitzvah for some external reason, then there's no chance that you're going to be getting to the Rebbe. If you outgrow it, you may enjoy it for its own sake. You may enjoy keeping Shabbos for Shabbos' sake or for learning Torah's sake. But there's a higher goal of connecting to the Rebbe. So now let's go back and ask all the questions again, and it's all going to fall into place in the most beautiful way. We started off by saying, be careful with a light mitzvah and a severe mitzvah. Now there's two levels of reward here. There's a level of reward which is external, meaning if you put in more effort, you'll get more reward. If you put in less effort, you'll get less reward. That we do know. That's not what this Mishnah is talking about. If that's what this Mishnah was talking about, then it would say, and this was question number 2 that we asked, then it would say, we do know the schar of mitzvot. We do. If you put in more effort, you get more and more reward. And if you put in less effort, you get less reward. But it's not talking here about the reward of the mitzvah. It's talking about the matan sacharan of the mitzvah. What's the extra matan coming to teach you? The giver, the notain. The being able to connect to the one who gives it. We're not talking here about external reward. We're talking here about internal reward. And now this Maharal explains this last line in a much deeper way, which is going to blow us away. What does it mean? Listen deeply. You could do a light mitzvah, an easy mitzvah, meaning not in your eyes it's light. According to the halacha it's light. According to the Pirkei Avos it's light, because you don't put in much effort. So as far as external reward is going, external reward, meaning how much effort you put in, we'll call it a kal mitzvah, an easy mitzvah, like Shiluach HaKein, sending away a bird. You didn't have to put in much effort. It was very easy. Now, does that mean that the inherent reward is going to be less as well? Not necessarily. If you do the mitzvah, having in mind that you are doing the will of Hashem, and you wish to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that you love Hashem, and through doing this mitzvah, this is going to be your way of connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You feel a dveikus with Hashem when you're coming to do it. You're doing it with a sense of doing the will of Hashem to give nachas ruach to Hashem. Then even though it's a light mitzvah, meaning it's easy for you to do, it will be infinite reward that is beyond our capability to understand or comprehend. Because we're not talking now about external reward. We're talking about the intrinsic, inherent reward of connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it could be the other way around as well. It could be that there's a mitzvah which is great effort for you to put in. For you to come and do this mitzvah, there's mesiras nefesh, and there's challenge and effort, and until you got to do it. And you're thinking, what reward I'm going to get for this? And you will get external reward, tremendous for that. But if your mind was all about how people are going to respect me and how people are going to honor me and what side benefits I'm going to get from this, and you're not thinking about, I'm doing this as it's the will of Hashem to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're not going to get that level, that intrinsic, inherent level of reward for doing that. And that explains why the first thing we mentioned, Aveirus, we do have their punishment in the Torah. It does say about Makos, it does say about Misa, it does say about Kores, because that's not from the essence of Hashem. Evil is something which HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts as temporary. It's something temporary which a person has to go through in order to cleanse himself and then move beyond. It's not the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore that's external. External. Anything external we can speak about, because if it's external to Hashem, it's finite. And something which is finite, we can use finite words for. And so too, how much effort you're going to get for reward, for how much reward you're going to get for effort you can put in, that we can also speak about. That's also external. But once we're speaking about dveikus with Hashem, ayin lo ra'ata elokim zuratecha asera, it's infinite. The thing, it's connection to Hashem. There's no way we can describe it. So listen to the beautiful words now. I'm reading it again. You should be careful in your doing mitzvahs that are easier for you to do. just like mitzvahs which are harder for you to do, which is the external reward. Why should you be more careful, equally careful on the lighter, easier mitzvahs? So similar to Rabbeinu Yonah, that it's infinite reward, but we're understanding it much deeper now. We're understanding because even if it's a light mitzvah, the fact that you're doing it to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with a dveikus to Hashem, there is no fathoming way that we have in this world of what that's going to give us. The dveikus with Hashem, the love of Hashem, the nachas ruach will bring to Hashem. And that's why it says the word matan sacharan. Because it's not talking about the external world, it's talking about the inherent reward, the closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that explains the next piece as well. We asked, how can you explain? What do you mean? How can you machashev? Machashev have said mitzvah keneged schara. So on one level, you could say you can work it out, because if it's talking about how much effort you put in, then that level is possible for us to explain. But on a deeper level, we can understand that really all this next section is saying is that you have to recognize, and this is like the crux, the neshama of the point, you have within you two levels of relating to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A level of finite and a level of infinite. These are the two ways that we relate to Hashem. When you relate to Hashem from a place of finite, then everything you'll be thinking about, all your motivation will be coming from a place of finite. It will be, what will I get for it? What's the result? Which is like the Rambam was saying is a good starting place. Sweets, afterwards clothing, or outings, or honor. Those are all finite things. And when you're relating to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on a finite level, you will be able to have a relationship, but it's limited, it's finite. You'll never be able to feel that deep sense of connection. And the point that will most frustrate you will be davening. Because the neshama of davening is connecting to the infinite. It's going beyond yourself and connecting to He who is beyond everything that you can fathom. So you will find davening very frustrating because you're relating to Hashem as finite. And you won't be able to do what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago of living in the world of imagery, where you can imagine that everything is beyond your limited place. Because only when you believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is infinite and you're relating to Him as infinite, are you able to daven for things beyond your limited scope. People live within their limited beliefs. They view themselves as finite and they make a binyan av to Hashem. They say, just like I can't do it, probably Hashem can't do it either. They live in a world of being finite, and that holds them back from deeply connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the higher level is developing within yourself, which is the essence of your neshama, a piece of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a recognition that within you is a place where you can touch infinity. Now, I know you can't numerically work out infinity, right? It's beyond our limited sense of self. But the moment that you're able to recognize that there is a place of infinity which is beyond where you are now, you're able to relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on a different level. You'll stand before Hashem and you'll recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is malei kol ha'olam kulo b'chvodo. There's no limitation. I'm limited, He's not. And you'll be able to stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and daven for anything, even if it's not logical. You'll ask for illogical things because you'll recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is able to do anything. He's beyond all recognition. And when you come to calculate, having a chashed have said mitzvah neged schara, it's essentially a calculation between the finite and the infinite. And that's why the order is reversed. Because each time it's starting with the finite and going to the infinite. Have have said mitzvah. I'm coming to do a mitzvah now. What do I lose out by the mitzvah? It costs a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. It's a lot of effort for me. That's the world of infinite. That's thinking from a mindset of being finite. So the first stage in this two-stage process is always thinking from the stage of finity. I'm finite. Is it worth it? That's a good business mindset to have. Is it worth it? Is it a good investment? Because business is money, which is finite. But that's not a valid calculation to make here. Keneged schara, what does schara of the mitzvah? Oh, now you're already in the world of infinity. You're talking about dveikus with Hashem. You're talking about something which is way beyond what you were able to calculate. And again, the second time, the schara vera, again, is talking about calculating the finite, the reward you're going to get, the pleasure you're going to get from doing that vera, how enjoyable it's going to be. Keneged have said that what you're going to lose, the infinite, what you're going to lose of disconnecting from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mashal ma'adav. Imagine you're driving, and you have your Waze on, and there's two ways that you can go. Now, the one way, you can see with your eyes. that if you take that ramp and you go up, chock-a-block traffic. There's no way you're going to be able to go there. It's going to be stuck. But the Waze is telling you that will save you 20 minutes. Now, there's another way that you can go where open roads, clear roads, and the Waze is telling you that will take you 20 minutes longer. So who do you believe? So if you say, what do you mean Waze? Waze? I have my eyes. Waze is for people who can't think for themselves. I'm a person who sees reality. I'm in the world. I see things. I'm a man of the world. There's a traffic there. There's no traffic here. I'm going where there's no traffic. It makes so much more sense. But the Waze knows more than you. The Waze is infinite compared to you. The amount of information that he can process is way beyond what you can process. What you're currently seeing with your eyes is that this path looks to you like it's a better path to take, but you're finite. You can't see what's beyond it. You're going to drive around that bend and suddenly, boom, there's an accident there and you're going to be waiting in this traffic 20 minutes, recalibrating, an extra 20 minutes was just added, an extra half an hour was just added. It's going to keep going back and back and back. But if you go up that ramp, so short term to you, it doesn't look like it's beneficial, but you're following an infinite device who knows infinitely more than you. It's a well worth relying to the concept of finity versus infinity. And that's the connection based on the Maharal of the second part of the Mishnah. That's why it switches the order each time. So that was the major message to take. You have a place within yourself of infinity. That's the neshama that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you. If you don't believe it, your life will be a limited life. And everything you do will always be for external reasons. You'll always be evaluating to yourself. Is it more beneficial for me? Is it less beneficial for me? And all your calculation will be this world things. You won't be able to make good decisions. You won't be able to stand before Hashem in tefillah and connect to He that is infinite. But the moment you're aware of the depth of the neshama, and you're aware that there's something within you which is way beyond you, and you're able to calculate the calculation not of this world, not of the how much effort is it, which is something I can calculate, but the recognition that from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's perspective, even if it's easy for me, but I'm focused on Hashem, and I'm thinking about my dveikus with Hashem, that's going to give me a reward which is way beyond the calculation, because that's the infinite purpose of why I'm here. That's not the sweets and the candy and the outing. That's the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the dveikus, that's the whole purpose of everything. Once you're able to be aware that there's an infinity within you, you'll be able to sense it even in this world. You won't have to wait till the next world. Even in this world, you'll be going up the ramp and you'll be seeing traffic in front of you. You'll be saying, I know I'm doing what makes the most sense. And not like the ways where you don't connect to your phone. There are people who do, but that's their God. But not like the ways where you connect. But here you'll be recognizing, by me following this path, I already am building a relationship with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And not just in the next world, but even in this world, you'll have the touch of infinity. The call to infinity, you'll be sensing it in this world. And you'll be living a life of true joy and true happiness already here in this stage. Yeshar Koach, have a good night.